Namo Phat, good morning. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The first mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I vow to cultivate compassion and learn ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I'm determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to condone any act of killing in the world, in my thinking or in my way of life. Our Dharma reading this morning is by Ajahn Jatapalo, and it's We Don't Have to Struggle. And this is from Beginning Our Day by the monastics of Abhayagiri Monastery. Before coming to this practice, most of us had positive ideas about meditation, that it brings peace and happiness, even bliss. And those ideas are what motivated us to become practitioners. For many of us, however, the reality is that meditation can often be a struggle rather than an experience of bliss and happiness. When we close our eyes, there can be a lot of physical or mental pain. There can be a sense of pushing away from our experiences or a general feeling of discomfort and tension. When I think about my own practice, what often creates the struggle I experience in meditation is my attitude. I can have an attitude that I'm only meditating to experience peace, not pain. That's a problem. So I can ask myself, is it possible to drop that attitude and relax? If I can drop the attitude, I have the capacity to bring that sense of peace and tranquility into one single moment, the present moment. Alternatively, when we find we are unable to bear with a particular form of pain, we can also turn our attention away from that pain. If there's pain in the knee, for example, why put our attention on that if our minds cannot hold a sense of steadiness around it? Why bring that into our attention? Instead, we can find some other part of the body that is not in pain so that we can experience that feeling of present moment peace right there. Ajahn Buddhadasa used to talk about enlightenment in the sense of experiencing this moment of peace with clarity and then becoming familiar with that experience. Of course, it is impermanent. It comes and it goes, but it's a taste. We can train the mind to incline toward that state more and more often, to make it stretch out a little longer, and return to it throughout the day. With training, this experience of peace and clarity can become a touchstone for the mind, and we can turn toward that in meditation when we find ourselves struggling with pain or discomfort. But the first thing to do when we find ourselves struggling is to remember that we do not have to struggle. Then we can focus on the body or the breath or whatever it is for us that brings that sense of peace and tranquility. Or we can reflect on any one of the 7 factors of enlightenment: mindfulness, discernment, energy, rapture, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity, in order to establish a more grounded state of mind. There are many avenues we can take to cultivate the peace and happiness in meditation that brought many of us to the practice in the first place. Now that we have become committed to the practice, our job is to explore those avenues for ourselves, to discover which ways lead to the most fruitful results. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.